Good morning. Today is June 10th, 2026, and it's a Wednesday. I'm Coach Shannon Astino, and today we will be discussing IELTS listening. But before that, I'm giving you all a short pep talk para naman ma-motivate kayo and to set the mood, all right? So, I would like you to understand that IELTS is the top one English proficiency test. That's why the requirements, the standards are high. Okay? Mahigpit ang examiners, especially when it comes to checking your writing and speaking. That's why most students are intimidated with those two parts. But today's lecture is listening. Nonetheless, it's still a very important part of your IELTS, although this is also known to be the easiest part, listening, okay? As I was saying prior to recording the meeting, your proficiency takes time to level up. If you started in IELTS language, we call it band levels, okay? The lowest that you can get is a band 0, but of course, nobody gets a band 0 in the Philippines, I believe, because most Filipinos are already knowledgeable. You have the basic knowledge on how to speak in English and how to use English because, of course, we were blessed. We were colonized by the Americans a long time ago, and somehow English is our second language. Unlike other Southeast Asian countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, South Korea, Japan, China, those countries, even they're trying so hard to learn how to speak English. However, since it's not their second language and their alphabet is not influenced by the American alphabet, definitely it's so hard for them to acquire English. So, hindi sila natural pakinggan, unlike most Filipinos. Alam niyo ba that most English teachers or instructors are Filipinos, even sa iba't ibang bansa, because we Filipinos can speak the language better than other countries, which is something that we should be proud of, right? And it's an edge on your side because somehow, hindi na ganun kahirap. However, we have to start from somewhere and you have to know what your current level is. And you can only do that if you are going to be assessed by either me or Coach Kevin. All right. So before you attend the one-on-one coaching session tomorrow, you have to make sure that you have attended several speaking major lectures, or if you could not attend one last week, kasi last week puro speaking lectures tayo, you can always access our replay videos on either my YouTube channel or Sir Kevin's YouTube channel. All you have to do is search the playlist, IELTS playlist, and we have the list of lectures there. You just have to navigate it into the page, channel, okay? So, maganda sana you already have a prior knowledge on how the flow of the interview goes before you have your one-on-one coaching session scheduled with Sir Kevin, okay? So, if your initial level is a band 4 and you're aiming for a band 7, I would say you need an estimated amount of 3 to 6 months or maybe a year to reach it. Pero kung nag-start ka naman sa band 6 at gusto mong makakuha ng 7 or 8, you just need to lock in your training in your IELTS journey. And if you're seriously 100% focused, then you can achieve it in 3 months. Basta kailangan consistent ka. Consistency is key, all right? Let me share with you the paper towel theory. The paper towel theory is I'm talking about the kitchen paper towel. I'm more specific now. Imagine it's like 1 foot long, right? If you've seen or bought sa mga mommies, alam niyo yung kitchen towel, diba? Yun yung roll na makapal. Any tissue paper na naka-roll. Let's talk about that. Imagine that, okay? I want you to picture it out. In the beginning, when you take it out of the plastic and you start getting some tissue from it, one by one lang ang kuha, diba? Hindi naman siguro isang bugsuan na hatak, ganon. No. So, if you look at it, it seems like hindi siya nababawasan. Parang same pa rin naman yung itsura niya, right? Until it reaches a certain point na paubos na siya. Noon mo palang makikita na, ay, parang I need to buy a new one or probably get another one from the storage room. It takes time bago mo makita na paubos na siya. So it's the same concept when it comes to enhancing your English skills. Because it takes time and it takes consistency. You need to be consistent, all right? Once the momentum has been broken, it's hard to restart and you're going back to zero again and again. Sayang yung effort, sayang yung ininvest mong time before kung magre-restart ka lang ng paulit-ulit. That's why if you're going to start something like an IELTS journey, learning a new language, learning a new skill, trying to lose weight, trying to create new habits. The key is to stay consistent even if you have not been seeing any changes in the beginning. Because in the beginning, parang walang effect eh. Just like when I started to try to lose weight, in the first 2 months, I couldn't see much changes because I look at myself in the mirror all the time. But then 2 months beyond the journey, I said to myself, I'll hang in there. I won't waver. Okay? You just need to lock in, stay positive, and be consistent because one day you're gonna find your whoosh moment. The whoosh moment is like, whoosh, ganon. Parang, wow, may improvement na. Consistently, I've been getting just band 5 sa mga mock test ko. I can attest to that because I have a student. Consistently, she was getting 5.5 sa writing niya in the beginning, in the first 3 weeks namin. And surprisingly, yesterday when she handed me another essay of hers and I checked it, finally, hindi na 5 to 5.5 ang nakukuha niya. She got 6 to 6.5. So, that goes to show that consistency really works. Practice really works. Giving it your time, giving it your effort is not a waste, even though you don't see changes or improvements in the beginning. Everything starts hard before it gets easy. So all you have to do is hang in there, okay? Just wait for that whoosh moment because it's going to happen. Okay, it's going to happen. All right. But of course, it depends on your habits. Kailangan daily meron kang ginagawa. Because the decisions you make today, the actions that you choose to make today will determine the results of your IELTS test. So, wag kang magtataka if hindi mo makukuha yung target band score mo after 2 to 3 months kung hindi ka rin naman talaga nag-e-effort, right? If you're not staying consistent, if you're not committing to it daily. It's a daily negotiation. Mag-aaral ba ako today? Mag-mock test ba ako today? Hindi lang Tuesday and Thursday ang mock test na pwede niyong gawin. Because I believe everyone has a computer at home. Everyone has a laptop maybe or a desktop. Sinesend naman namin yung link ng same link na ginagamit sa review center when you go there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, IELTS online. All you have to do is sign up And then after signing up, you can just log in every time. So, gawin niyo sa bahay, di ba? My technique was, one IELTS component muna ang finukusan ko bago ako mag-move on sa next. So, when I was preparing for my test, I was only focused on listening on the first 2 weeks. And then, after na-master ko yung mga techniques and strategies, kasi eventually, when you're continuously doing the mock test, mapapansin mo rin yung mga tactics nila eh. Yung mga nakakalito, distractors, ganyan. We will discuss it actually today. Mapapansin mo yan, and then you will get used to the flow. And then it gets easier. Because, believe it or not, the more you do something, the more familiar it becomes. Familiarity builds up, confidence builds up. And eventually, you're getting better at it. Okay. So hopefully this little pep talk helped a little bit for you to, magkaroon kayo ng konting believe sa sarili at confidence, okay? If other test takers got their band score, their target band score, you can too, okay? The only difference is the effort you put in, the consistency you build, and the daily habits that you have, okay? So stay locked in and stay positive all the time. The words that you tell yourself are the words that will become the results of your IELTS test. I always feed myself with words of affirmation. Simply by looking at yourself in the mirror and reminding yourself of your identity. Okay? Tell yourself, first thing in the morning, I am an IELTS finisher. Okay? I don't want to use the term passer kasi hindi naman nga to pass or fail test. It's you reaching your target band score. Assessment test kasi talaga to, okay? So, you can just say, I'm an IELTS finisher. I'm going to finish my journey with the target band score that I am aiming for, right? You can also tell yourself, I am smart. I am diligent in being consistent with my review. Those little words of positivity, kala mo lang walang effect, but the more you say it to yourself, the more you become. Because the words that you think, your thoughts, will become the words that you say, and the words you say become your actions. Your actions become habits until it becomes a lifestyle and it changes you. Words are powerful, guys. I remember one of my students, she was so hesitant. She had a lot of self-doubt. Hindi siya ganun ka-confident. But I kept telling her, claim it. This is the last take you're gonna take. Pangatlong take niya kasi yun eh. Speaking na lang yung last niyang kailangan kunin kasi dun siya talaga hirap. Yun yung part na na-intimidate siya, yun yung part na parang matalino naman siya, pero pagdating sa speaking, yun talaga yung weakness niya. So I just kept telling her sa last coaching namin, don't entertain negative thoughts anymore. You're gonna get it this time. Claim that you're gonna get a 7 on your final IELTS speaking test. It's your third one. You've already learned the do's and don'ts from the previous exams, the first and the second. I've trained you well. I've given you all the reminders. Actually, the reminder was stay chill, be relaxed. You don't have to sound like you're talking to a computer or a robot. You just have to sound natural, like you're having a conversation at a coffee shop. And I just told her all the positive words. I'm not saying that I'm the key. I'm just saying that how powerful words can actually be. Okay? When I gave her those positive words, her actions aligned to what the words were. And because of that, voila, she got her target band score and nakuha niya yung kailangan niyang score on her third take. Yung first and second take niya kasi, hindi siya masyadong pumapasok. And parang hindi niya masyadong nabigyan ng focus yung coaching. But when it was her third take, dun niya ako sinabihan na, man, gusto ko nang maging focus sa coaching ko. And yeah, nag-focus kami sa speaking niya. And eventually, she got it. All right. Let's begin. Why is listening really important in your language, English language improvement? Because I believe that if you cannot understand whatever the other person is saying, you will not be able to come up with appropriate answers either, right? And the thing about English speakers, it's a long list of different sounds, okay? Accents. We are used to international English accent, American accent. Some of you, maybe you've experienced having a relative, a friend from Australia or from UK. Baka narinig nyo na yung mga accents nila, which is good. Pero karamihan sa inyo, you would complain na kapag nag-play na yung Australian accent sa audio, yun na yung time na parang nawiwindang na kayong lahat. Tama ba? Why? Because it's not familiar to us. We're not familiar in listening to Australian accent. Kasi yun yung pinakamahirap among the three. Pag British, medyo okay pa kasi nakakapanood naman tayo ng Lord of the Rings, Bridgerton, and other popular accents, British accent movies, series, diba? Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. Okay. So, since you are not familiar with a certain sound, it becomes a barrier in communication. It becomes a barrier in your comprehension. That's why we need to practice it. Okay? If you know to yourself that Australian accent is actually the difficult part, then dun ka mag-focus. The good thing about our generation is that this is the digital era, meaning ang dami nating online sources. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, I understand that. But the thing is, we have free access to YouTube videos, other online sources, movies on different streaming apps like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Channel, HBO, name it, they have it, right? So, wala ka nang magiging excuse ngayon para hindi mag-practice ng listening. We have podcasts. If you feel like wala kang time manood, pero marami kang free time pag nagda-drive ka on a long drive, or probably when you're just cleaning the house, you can just play a podcast and listen. Okay? Sa umpisa, ang hirap talaga. But everything starts from there. Okay? And eventually, you're gonna get used to it. Yes. So, wag tayong ma-intimidate dun. The listening test measures your ability to understand spoken English. As mentioned earlier, listening is the easiest among the 4 components of IELTS. Because technically, all you have to do is listen to the audio and encode your answers, especially if it's a computer-based test. So, kailangan maging keen ka sa listening. But of course, there are strategies and techniques that we need to follow and to learn in order for you to ace your listening test. So it lasts around 30 to 40 minutes plus 10 minutes to transfer answers. So this is for the paper-based test. I know naman na wala naman sa atin dito magte-take ng paper-based test. Most of you are taking the computer-based test. So definitely, this is not going to be a problem. So for computer-based tests, we all know it's lasting 60 minutes. There are 4 parts to the listening test. We have 40 questions in total. For each part, there are 10 questions. Okay, so, syempre, yung part 1, yun yung easiest. And then, as it progresses to the last part, that's going to be the most difficult. I want you all to remember that the listening test audio is going to be played once only. Kaya naman, when you miss a certain point or number, wala na, hindi mo na yun mababalikan. Sa mock test nyo, pwede nyo pang ibalik yung audio, tama ba? But then, sa actual IELTS test, hindi na pwede. Okay? So, make sure kapag nagpa-practice kayo, hindi yung binabalik-balik yung ganun. Hayaan nyo lang na matapos yung audio para ma-assess nyo rin ano ba yung totoo mong score. Kasi marami ditong, may students kami before. Ma'am, fina-flex pa yung mga score nila. Nakaka-7, ganyan. Doon pala, binabalik lang yung audio, nire-replay lang, which is wrong. Kasi nga, that's why you're doing the mock test, for you to try what it's like in the real life, in the real test, okay? So always be reminded the audio will only be played once. So, please, whenever you do the mock test, be honest with yourself. Wag yung nire-replay. Now let's talk about the 4 parts of the IELTS listening test. Mamaya, we will do a practical test, meaning, i-share ko pa rin yung screen ko and you will be seeing, mag-mock test tayo together, basically, okay? So, part 1, usually this is a conversation in an everyday social context. Conversation means it involves more than one person. So, maaring dalawang tao nag-uusap in a conversation and they are talking about everyday social context, meaning pwedeng nasa cafe and they're ordering something. Pwede rin namang the topic is about probably booking a reservation at a restaurant, something like that. Now, part 2 is going to be a monologue. When we say monologue, only one person is talking, okay? Again, it's a social context, so medyo easy level pa yung mga topics sa part 1 and 2. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, dito sa part 3 and 4, the context of the audio is no longer about everyday situations. But this time around, it's going to be about academic or training context. So maybe it discusses something, anything not related to academic learning, okay? Cognitive learning. So part 3 is going to be a conversation and part 4 is just one person talking most of the time. It's either an academic lecture or topic. Okay, so now you know what to expect. And for those who have already done their listening test, you should know by now. Okay, we have an example. Part one is booking a hotel room. So when the conversation is about booking a hotel room, you have to be very keen in watching out for information such as listening for the names. Kasi syempre, when you're registering or when you're booking for a hotel room, you have to give your personal information. As a guest, you have to provide your full name, the date of the booking, phone numbers and details, di ba? Yun yung mga importante na kailangan yung pakinggan. But the thing about the listening test is marami yung distractors. Ang gagawin niyan, ipe-present niya yung parang yun yung tamang sagot, then biglang babaguhin niya bandang dulo. And sasabihin niya, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to, the final date of the booking is on, ganyan. And then phone numbers, dictation yan. That's why when it comes to listening, you need laser focus. Because when you miss out one information, there's no replaying. Hindi naman din inuulit-ulit yung sinasabi, okay? But the thing about names, let's say the name of the hotel is something difficult to spell. Four-month hotel. Pag pinakinggan mo yon parang, paano i-spell yung four-month hotel? Diba? Don't worry, wag ma-stress. I-dictate naman sa audio yung spelling ng hotel, ng name ng hotel, or anything na mahirap i-spell kasi kakaiba yung pronunciation. And basta names ng hotel, names ng streets, names ng anything, i-dictate naman yan. Kasi syempre, when it comes to names, never naman tayo magiging sure sa spelling. Tama ba? But of course, spelling of verbs, adjectives, yan yung mga kailangan accurate tayo. Hindi ko sinasabi na dapat okay lang na magkamali ka sa spelling ng names. Hindi ka naman magkakamali kasi i-dictate naman. Letter by letter. Ganon. Okay? So the common question types for part 1 is form completion. Ayan, yung may i-complete kayong form or may i-complete kayo ng notes. Okay? So basically, that's how easy is part 1. So going back to what I was saying, listening is a laser focus game. When I say laser focus, yes, nasa loob kayo ng testing room. May iba kayong kasabay. Hindi ko alam kung gaano ka kahusay mag-focus, pero dapat hindi kayong easily distracted. One of the factors why you will not be able to focus well is you came in hungry. Hindi ka kumain ng breakfast. So, what are you gonna do? Mawawalan ka ng focus kasi gutom ka. Kumakalam yung sikmura mo. So that's why it's very important, hindi ka malalate on the test day. Kailangan you should have eaten breakfast. Okay? Not too heavy, but not too little. Kasi when you eat too heavy, a heavy meal, aantukin ka naman. So, again, your focus will be really bad. If naman konti, gugutumin ka agad. Remember, 3 hours yon. Listening, reading, writing. 1 hour each. Saka ka palang magkakaroon ng lunch break. That's why you think underestimating your physical condition is okay, but it's not. Because I experienced it myself. Nag-mock test ako nang hindi nagbe-breakfast. And the thing is, di ako makafocus. Ang baba ng score ko. The thing is, when you get distracted, just the slightest amount of distraction, at nawala ka, iisipin mo na nang iisipin, ay, hindi ko nasagutan yung 1, number 2, tsaka 3. Ngayon, the whole mood will change kasi parang, nangarag ka na nangarag ka na parang, oh my gosh, I missed out on two numbers. Pagdating sa ganong situations, you have to calm yourself. Focus on the things, on the tasks that still need attention. Wag mo nang ibig sabihin lang, matuto tayong mag-move on agad-agad. Bounce back from failure instantly. Or else, you're gonna put the whole test at stake just because you missed out on one number or two numbers. It's okay if you did that, just move on quickly. Pero sana hindi. And the prevention for that is to eat breakfast, be physically conditioned. Sana hindi kayo nagkasakit prior to the examination para din naman wala kayong nararamdaman physically. That's really important, you know? Part 2. An example topic could be a tour guide describing a museum. Sino ba yung nagtanong sa akin? I think it was Laika who asked me a question last week. It's about map description kasi. So may part sa listening na may map and then yung audio, magpa-play siya at magbibigay siya ng kailangan marunong kayo sa prepositions of place. Adjacent to that, in between, yung mga words na vocabulary, lexical resources na aligned sa directions. Reviewin nyo yan, ha? Because maaring matapat sa inyo yung mahihirap na map descriptions. Okay? So, yon. But the good thing is, may number naman yung bawat part na kailangan mong sagutan. And sa audio naman, it's going to be presented in a chronological order. So map labeling and multiple choice ang karaniwang question types for listening part 2. On part 3, students are discussing a group project. This is an example. Example lang to, meaning pwede yang magbago, pwedeng mag-vary. So, when students are discussing a group project, so you have to be listening to their opinions, understand their opinions, whether they agree or disagree on something. Okay? Again, there will be a lot of distractors here. But you have to be, kailangan, you're good at listening. And dito nagpa-play din yung importance of grammar. Okay? Kasi sometimes certain answers might seem to be the correct answer, but hindi sila fit grammatically. So you have to opt for the answer that would fit grammatically appropriately in the specific context or sentence, okay? So, multiple choice and matching ang common question types for part 3. And part 4, we have university lecture about climate change. Yan. Environmental topics. You have to be socially aware about what's happening with the world. Okay? So global news, about environment, about pollution, kailangan meron tayong awareness because it's really, really important. Okay? Para naman, pag nag-play yung audio, hindi lang naka-base ka sa kung ano yung nasa audio, pero meron ka ding prior knowledge about it, nakaka-help yun. Okay, let's say yung topic is about climate change. Tapos, ang hirap pa ng audio. Mas maganda na medyo nakapagbasa ka about climate change. Para naman, naniniwala kasi ako that listening is affected by how we can relate to a specific topic. Tama ba? Kasi nag-play yung audio, kahit madali yung words na gamitin, kung hindi ka makarelate sa topic, ang hirap. Ang hirap sundan. Pero if somehow may alam ka about sa topic, and then yun yung lumabas sa IELTS, it's an advantage for you. right? So the common question types are sentence completion and note completion. Yun yung may parang mga paragraph na kailangan mong i-complete. Okay? So for listening, IELTS listening band scores, if you get only one mistake, grabe no, napakahigpit, one mistake only, you are you're going to secure a band 9. If you make 2 to 5 mistakes, it's a band 8. And 6 to 10 mistakes, band 7. 11 to 17 mistakes, it's a band 6. And then if you get almost half of it, or 16 to 22 correct answers, you get a band 5. So yan. We're gonna have a short break, just a 2 to 3 minute break for toilet break or whatever, and then we will be back. We will practice a listening mock test together, okay? See you after the break. Okay, so we're back. So these are the band descriptor. This is the overview. Okay, so if you're a band 4 and below, it means you have limited understanding and frequent mistakes. Band 5 to 6, you're a competent user and you can understand familiar situations. Band 7 to 8, good to very good user, occasional inaccuracies. And band 9, you're an expert user, you understand almost everything. May mga students na mataas talaga sa listening. I think we've had few students who got a band 9 in listening. Amazing, right? Grabe, kakaiba yung laser focus naman ng mga taong ganun. I didn't get a band 9 in listening. Mabilis kasi yung ma-distract. Honestly, that's the reason. And I think most of us have that problem nowadays because of excessive phone use. Yung tipong nahihirapan na tayo mag-focus. And I'm guilty. So let's take a look at the sample listening questions. What time does the train leave? And so you have to be listening for the time. Complete the form with no more than 2 words. It's very important to read the instructions properly. Kasi feeling natin minsan, bakit parang 3 words yung sagot? Eh, ang instruction, no more than 2 words. That's already an indicator that mali yung naiisip mong sagot. Kasi 3 words yung naisip mong sagot, eh ang nasa instruction lang naman, no more than 2 words. 'Di ba? So, huwag kalimutan na to follow the instructions. Choose the correct letter, A, B, or C. Match the speaker with the opinion. So these are the common listening challenges that you have to be watchful of. The different English accents. Actually, nagre-recommend ako ng podcast. These are video podcasts from a YouTube channel. Isasend ko sa Schedule 2.0. Lahat ba kayo nasa Schedule 2.0 group chat? Kung hindi pa, please ask Sir Roel to invite you. Habang naglilinis kayo ng bahay or if you're on a ride home, you can listen to the podcast here. Ang ganda sa channel na to. Why? Because the topics here are very interesting and relatable. For example, ang topic, how to manage your time. Talk about your passion. How to talk about yesterday. What makes a day peaceful? Hope in small moments. How to speak better at work. Small goals that can change your life. Bad habits, talk about birthdays in English. Talking about coffee culture in English. Diba? Yung mga topics sa podcast na to, talagang natotopic din sa IELTS. That's why I recommend this. And the thing about these podcasts that they upload, 20 to 30 minute long lang. 20 to 30 minutes, done na. Diba? If you listen to one of their episodes per day, hindi siya ganun ka-time consuming. Unlike other podcasts which last for like hours. Spelling mistakes. Isa sa mga pinaka na hihirapan ako is minsan, tama naman yung spelling ko, pero mali daw yung sagot because since British accent at nasa British context yung conversation, ang ina-expect nilang spelling ay magkaiba kasi yung ibang words sa British English tsaka sa American English, di ba? For example, the word favorite. In UK, they spell it as Favorite, favorite, di ba? Favorite. Pero in American standard spelling, the standard spelling of favorite is Favorite. Kaya naman, that confuses me a lot. But, ang ginagawa ko na lang, if American accent, sinusunod ko yung American spelling. Pag British accent, tapos yun yung context, nasa UK, ganun. Ang ginagamit ko yung British spelling. Pero, pwede natin i-double check yan. Double check natin right now. Mhm. I'm using my phone because I'm double checking. Behavior, isa din yan sa mga words. Okay. Sa IELTS online link na ginagamit natin for mock tests, minamali kasi ako kapag ginamit ko yung American English. Ang gusto nila minsan British English spelling. But upon double checking, acceptable naman pareho. In IELTS listening, both British and American spellings are usually accepted as long as the word itself is correct. So, pwedeng favorite with a U and favorite without a U. Acceptable yan. Color, as in C-O-L-U-R in British, and color as in C-O-L-O-R in American Standard. And then the word center. Kasi in British English, yung spelling ng center is C-E-N-T-R-E. Pero sa American English, it's C-E-N-T-E-R. Center, right? And then yung word din na organize. In British, it's an S, not a Z. In British, yung word na traveler, double L siya, T-R-A-V-E-L-L-E-R. Pero in English, in American English, it's T-R-A-V-E-L-R. So, yun nga. It's safe to say na IELTS examiners are instructed to accept standard British and American variants. However, if the word is being dictated, if it's spelled out by the audio in a certain way, kailangan kung ano yung dinictate, ganun yung i-encode yung answer. Huwag niyong babaguhin, okay? Hindi accepted ang alternative spelling pag ganun yung case. I hope naka-help yung tip na yon kasi I encountered that many times in my listening mock tests. Okay. These are the top IELTS listening strategies. May nag-chat. What is that about? You haven't done a mock test yet, AJ? Am I right? Is that what you're saying? So, first one is read questions before the audio starts. You will be given time to read the questions. Wag niyong sayangin yung opportunity na to. Okay? It's really, excuse me. Can I drink some water? Just a quick commercial. This is the type of water I'm drinking. Can you see it? It has chia seeds. Hindi nyo na makita kasi paubos na siya. But there's chia seeds and lemon. This is a really good detox drink. Drink it in an empty stomach every morning, of course. And it's gonna help balance your cholesterol. And it's gonna... And, you know, lemon is a good source of vitamin C. Ayoko na maging technical about it. Basta, I try to drink that as often as possible. Ah, the group chat. You have not been invited yet. Okay, AJ, kung ka-chat mo si Sir Roel or friends na kayo on social media, please ask him to invite you. Or kung friends na kayo ni Sir Kevin. Pero if you have Discord or nandun ka sa Wongchong, okay rin naman. Pero minsan may mga hindi ako pinopost sa Wongchong na pinopost ko lang sa mismong Schedule 2.0. Like, ayan, yung mga suggested na links for you guys. So, as I was saying, it's really important that you grab the chance, yung time na binibigay sa inyo to read the questions. Kasi ang laki ng advantage na you know what information you're eyeing for. Para pag nag-play si audio, hindi ka na ganun ka lost. Hindi ka na ganun ka... At least somehow you would know what you're looking for, the important information. And ito hindi alam ng karamihan. You can actually underline keywords. You can highlight. Okay, that's the advantage of a computer-based test. You can highlight something. Right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What day is it today? Wednesday pa lang. Oo nga. Wednesday pa lang. Listen for paraphrasing, not exact words. Now, let me remind you about vocabulary and lexical resource, how important it is in your listening test. You have to be watchful of paraphrasing kasi kung ano yung nakasulat sa test paper, that's not exactly what's being said in the audio. They tend to paraphrase. They paraphrase it because they want to check kung may intindihan mo pa rin ba even if other words or different sentence structures are used. Okay? Kaya nga siya assessment test. I-assess talaga yung those areas, vocabulary, grammar. Next, write answers quickly and move on. May mga nagtanong sa akin, May provided po bang scratch paper during the listening test? At may provided bang ballpen pangsulat? Yes, meron. May provided na one sheet of paper, blank sheet of paper, and a pencil. However, hindi advisable na isulat mo pa sa papel yung mga sagot mo. It's a waste of time at nakakalito lang. Encode mo na agad siya sa computer. Check spelling and grammar carefully. This is really important. Wrong spelling wrong, wrong verb tenses, wrong verb forms, word forms, wrong. So, balikan nyo ang mga grammar lectures natin. Very important yan. Mamaya ko to i-discuss. Now, let's move on to the main character. The main character. I mean, we're gonna do kung saan aabot yung oras natin. Okay? Magmo-mock test tayo together. If naman hindi ka nila in-add, AJ, pwede mo akong i-add. Ako na mag-i-invite sa'yo. Pero hindi naman yan super important. Mga link, kung ano naman din yung pinopost ko sa Wong Chong, andun din naman siya. Okay? So, I'll share my screen again, pero wait lang kasi kailangan ko munang i-access yung link.
Recording is copyright.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen right now?
This recording is copyright. In the IELTS test, you hear some recordings and you have to answer questions on them. You have time to read the instructions and questions and check your work. All recordings are played only once. The test is in 4 parts. Now look at part 1.
You will hear a woman asking an agent about rented accommodation. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
Okay. We're looking for preferred location. Pwede mong i-highlight yan. Facilities required, furnished property with, i-highlight din natin tong facilities required. Period of time, 1 year. Start date of rental period. Okay, start date. I-highlight ko yan kasi importante yan later. Present address, phone number.
Answer
Start na.
questions 1.
Good morning. How can I help you?
I'm interested in renting somewhere to live in town. I was wondering what you had available.
Excellent. I'll just need to find out a bit more about what you're looking for, and then we can see what we've got. So, your name is?
Anna Black.
Good, got that. And what sort of accommodation are you looking for, ideally?
Well, I don't know if this is going to be possible, but ideally a house. I live in a flat at the moment, and I've got really noisy neighbours. That's the reason I want to move.
Oh dear. And I'm afraid most of the accommodation for rent in the city centre is flats. Would you be prepared to look elsewhere? There are a lot of nice properties in the southeast.
Oh, yes, that would be really convenient for me. Quite a few of my friends are there, and it would be really close to my work.
And there's more chance of finding what you're after there.
Okay. Let's pause it a little bit. Preferred location. Tama ba? Lahat ba sagot nyo southeast? Southeast of the town. Yun lang yung location na minention niya, wala nang iba. So, yun lang din yung option natin. Okay?
I take it you'd be looking for a furnished place, would you?
Yes. And I know it's not always included, but I'd like to have a washing machine. I hate going to laundrettes, and if I'm a bit further out of the city, it might be a problem to find one.
I'll see what I can do. Now,
So, kanina, nung in-advance read natin, facilities required, syempre, ang minention niya lang, I would like to have a washing machine with a British accent, right? Okay, let's continue.
how long would you need the property for, bearing in mind that the minimum is 6 months?
1 year. I don't want to chop and change too often, and that'd give me the chance to see how things work out. And then I could reassess the situation after that.
And when would you like to move in?
I've got to be out of my present place by the 30th of April. Then I'm going to visit my parents for a couple of weeks, so
Narinig nyo? May minention siyang date. 13th of April. Na parang yun yung sagot, pero hindi.
let's say 15th of May.
So, ang pwede mong sagot dito, it's either 15th of May. Pero ano ba yung nasa instruction? No more than 2 words or a number. Kaya naman, kailangan safe tayo. May 15 na lang. Right? Pero pwede ring sagot, 15th May. Pero hindi mo na ilalagay yung of May kasi nga ang instruction, no more than 2 words or a number. 15th May or May 15, both acceptable. Okay?
And what's your current address? I'd better make a note of that for our files, and I'll put that you're there only until the end of April.
56 Stone Street.
And is there a phone number I could get you on?
Yes. The best one to use is my mobile, and that's 0792 326 5.
So, in British English, 0 is addressed as O, hindi 0. Okay?
584.
We'll make a reference before we're able to proceed with any contract. Who would be able to supply you with a reference?
I'm pretty sure my employer will do that for me. I don't really know my doctor or anyone like that here.
Narinig niyo yan? Nakakalito yung sinabi niya. Ano ba sabi niya? Employer or employee? Ako lang ba yung medyo nalito doon or kayo din? Let me know. Ano yung pagkakarinig niyo? Employee or employer? Pwedeng sumagot. May tao pa ba dito? O natutulog na ang lahat?
Employer.
Employer. Pero, honestly, her accent confuses us. 'Di ba? Siyempre, gagamitan nyo ng common sense. Hindi naman tayo kukuha ng reference from an employee, right? Of course, laging may reference number or someone, like someone that you work for, 'di ba? Lagi naman someone na higher up or someone close to you, like a family member. Pero usually kasi employer, okay?
Now, let's see what we've got that might suit you. Oh, first, how much are you looking to pay?
I'm paying £650 a month at the moment. and the most I can go to is £675. I've written.
O, diba? Yun yung sinasabing distractor. Ang una niyang minention, 650. Ang current niyang binabayaran sa flat niya, diba? However, ang maximum daw niyang rent ay £675 per month.
We can't go over that.
Shouldn't be any problem. It's a realistic figure. And can I ask what it is you do for a living?
Since I came here, I've been working for various bodies within the city as a translator. You know, for the police, the hospital.
Okay, good.
Before you hear
Wait
the rest of the
lang.
conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
Okay, pause muna. This can be confusing kasi pwedeng ang maging spelling nyo E kesa sa O. Translator, diba? But always be watchful of the right spelling, and the right spelling is with an O, translator. Okay? ID check, applicant's passport, credit check, credit. Okay, credit. Address of property. Yan. Viewing day and same time to check, is there a blank in the house? Is there nearby? Okay. If you
Now
notice,
listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, if we do find something, we'll need to check your ID. So we'll need to see your passport. And, of course, to do the credit check, we'll need to see a bank statement in order to complete all the paperwork.
No problem. I can bring this in tomorrow.
Good. Now, we've got a small house to rent that I think might be just what you're looking for. 33 Ainsworth Street. That's A...
wait lang guys. Bank statement, right? I-dictate niya yung name ng street. Capitalization is important, okay? Because it's a proper noun.
I-N-S-W...
Nawala yung audio. Okay. A-I-N ang sabi niya. So, baka kasi yung iba i-lowercase nyo, pero dapat capital yan. Okay, so that's how we apply the rules and the strategies here sa listening test. Okay? I-refresh ko yung page, guys, kasi nga, nawala yung audio. So, doon na tayo sa part 2.
Is copyright. In the IELTS test.
So, sa kalagitnaan, ayaw nang mag-play ng audio. Why is that?
Now look.
Ayan na pala. Part 2 na tayo.
Talking to staff about procedures to follow if a fire breaks out at work. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14.
Remember to listen for the key words. If a fire breaks out at work, so that's going to be the context. That's going to be the topic. So, kailangan iset nyo na sa isip nyo that the topic is about that, okay? And you do have prior knowledge about it naman because we all have experienced a fire drill. Tama ba? Even at school. So somehow you do have prior knowledge. Companies having this meeting about the fire procedures. Okay, i-highlight natin yung word na meeting. There has been a recent upgrade. Ito, upgrade. Yan. During the minor fire in January, some staff working in the factory. So, minor fire in January. In the fire in January, the problem with office staff. I-highlight natin yan. Okay? So, para mamaya, pag pinlay na yung audio, ready ka na kung anong info yung hahanapin natin.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello, and thanks to everyone for being on time. The meeting will be fairly short and will only be looking at fire procedures. I had a similar meeting with the senior fire officers earlier today, but you're all here because you've volunteered to act as fire wardens for your own particular department. And for some of you, this will be your first time in the role. Although you'll probably have taken part in several fire drills since you've been here. But now the construction work is finished and we have a couple of new corridors and stairways, we need the meeting to update everyone. And
we need the meeting to update everyone about the new corridors. There have been changes in the building layout. Did you get that answer too? Yes. Although minention din niya, eto, yung A tsaka C, pero hindi kasi yun yung purpose of the meeting. Remember, the company is having this meeting about the fire procedures because, okay?
And before I forget, you might have noticed a bit of upgrading last week.
Upgrading. Upgrading. Minention niya yung upgrading.
Health extinguishers. Standard ones on them. The report says they're all working well, as is the overhead sprinkler system. But the old alarm system has been replaced and should be a lot more reliable.
The old alarm system has been replaced. Letter C is the answer kasi yun yung recent upgrade. Okay?
Anyway, as fire wardens, you have a number of responsibilities. Okay, those wardens responsible for the factory buildings, you'll remember we had a minor fire back in January. Luckily, the fire doors around the room stopped most of the smoke from getting out, but the alarm should have been pressed a lot earlier. From what I understand, staff felt somewhat reluctant to activate it themselves and were looking for someone senior. So, please ensure that everyone knows it's their responsibility to take action immediately. Can you all?
The answer is letter C. We were talking about the minor fire in January that some staff working in the factory were unwilling to start the fire alarm because they were waiting for some seniors to come and do it, which is really wrong and it's problematic in that case. Okay? So letter C is the right answer.
So make sure that anyone new has been hired since then, that they've read the fire notices. And wardens for office departments, you will also have to have a word with your staff. When the fire alarm went off in January in that minor fire, people got out of the office building pretty quickly. That was fine. But once they were out, they stood right in front of the doors. So if the fire crews had needed to access the offices, they would have been prevented. Good to see that everyone had left their bags and stuff behind, though.
Okay. Walang sinabi na may problem, pero ang sinabi niya, you should have a word with the office staff. Pag kasi sinabi yung phrase na you should have a word with them, ibig sabihin nun, may kailangan tayong i-discuss na importante kasi may problema. Okay? So that's what you call yung mga paraphrasing na ini-inject nila sa mga listening audios na nakaka-confuse. So if hindi ka aware sa mga ganong klaseng paraphrasing, It's really confusing to understand kung ano ba talaga yung hinihinging sagot, okay? But the answer is letter C, did not move far away enough from the building. Yun yung naging problema ng ibang staff. And na-mention din tong mga to, pero if iintindihin nyo yung context ng listening audio, hindi yun yung sagot. Right?
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20.
This is really confusing. You need more focus.
Answer questions 15 to 20.
Before I play the audio, please take note we're looking for 3 categories. Kung priority ba to, kung kailangan ba ng external specialist, or it does not require attention. Tatlo lang yung choices natin. Kaya ako hinighlight yan. Okay, let's start.
Aspects of fire safety that we need to go through with all units. Firstly, we want to make sure that when we have the next fire drill, there's nothing blocking the way in the escape routes. No obstacles, I mean. So please have a look at that as soon as possible. We want to be able to get outside very quickly.
It was highlighted that the fact that you should make it a priority, right? As soon as possible. That means priority siya. Okay?
Something that should definitely be on your to-do list is making sure no one's locked the fire doors and that it's easy enough to get through them. Now, you might remember that last year we had a fire officer come and visit and show us what to do if we see a colleague starting to suffer from the effects of smoke inhalation. Well, the same officer's coming back to lead another session. Another issue is how to handle the fire extinguishers. Someone from the local fire department is booked in to teach people how to do that. I think it would be a good idea if fire wardens and department staff.
Wait. Okay. Fire extinguishers.
Session. Let's see. What else is on the list? Oh yes, the evacuation points. The green area behind the main car park, the pavement on Hunter Street, and the unused area behind the factory car park. Fire wardens need to make sure all staff are familiar with these locations for evacuation. So please send out emails directly after the meeting. And the last point is to do with flammable liquids. I believe there have been a few concerns about where they were being stored in the warehouse, but that's been resolved now. However, if anyone has anything else to report, do let me know.
Okay.
That is the end of part 2.
A
You now have
is
some time to check
priority,
your answers.
and then BB. Okay, so priority needs an external specialist for 17 and 18. And then priority si 19 and does not require attention si letter C. That was really fast and confusing. I know. Nung una kong tinake tong listening na to, nagkamali ako sa isa, which is number 17. Ang una kong sinagot dito is letter C, which I was confused. Letter B ang una kong sagot sa 17. Pero if ipi-play natin ulit, play natin ulit. Ang tamang sagot pala sa 17 ay C.
Same officers coming back.
Play ulit natin yung audio to double check the answers. Nothing blocking the way in the escape routes. Priority siya.
No obstacles. please have a look at that as soon as possible. We want to be able to get outside very quickly. One thing that should definitely be on your to-do list is making sure no one's locked the fire doors and that it's easy enough to get through them.
Priority din siya.
You might last year we had a fire officer come and visit and show us what to do if we see a colleague starting to suffer from the effects of smoke inhalation. Well, the same officer's coming back to lead another session. Another issue is how to
Walang binanggit showing staff how to look after each other. Di ba? Ang sabi, wala siyang binanggit na yun. So, ang tamang sagot ay letter C.
someone from the
External specialist, letter B.
start the session. Let's see, what else is on the list? Oh yes, the evacuation points. The green area behind the main car park, the pavement on Hunter Street, and the unused area behind the factory car park. Fire wardens need to make sure all staff are familiar with
Need to make sure. So, priority siya, okay?
So please send out emails directly after the meeting. And the last point is to do with flammable liquids. I believe there have been a few concerns about where they were being stored in the warehouse, but it's been resolved now. However, if anyone has anything else to report, do let me know.
Okay, walang binanggit about
Part 2.
checking that flammable liquids is a priority or should be external specialist. So, letter C ang sagot natin doon. Okay?
You now have some time to check your answers.
It's impossible to check this anymore kasi di mo naman na ma-replay. Pero minsan kasi, logical din yan eh. What fits the context talaga. But anyways, let's do one more. Let's do part 3.
Now look at part 3.
You will hear two environmental studies students called Jennifer and Adam comparing their research on pigeons. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Okay, ito yung choices natin. Eats meat, communicates with its wings, is found in a variety of locations, feeds on particular type of plant, sings to attract a mate, is endangered, is brightly colored, avoids the ground. So, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 options. Pero meron lang tayong 5 and 5.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Adam, are you ready to compare notes for our presentation on pigeons for next week?
Yes, I think so. I found some really good sources describing all the different kinds of pigeons for the background section.
Me too. I knew they were a common bird, but didn't realise there were so many types. I found an interesting new study on the Australian crested pigeon. It makes a special sound to warn the rest of the flock of danger.
But a lot of birds use calls or songs to find a mate or to sound the alarm. What's special about this one?
Well, it uses its wings.
Really?
Yes, if the pigeon is startled, it makes a whistling sound when it flies off. This sound warns other pigeons in the flock that there's danger.
Interesting. I found a lot of stuff on the rock pigeons. They're the ones with the widest distribution.
Of all the pigeon species, they've been the most successful at adapting to different environments, haven't they? In contrast to the rock pigeon, there's a pigeon in the north of Australia, the black-banded pigeon, which is restricted to one very small patch of forest. Another interesting thing about it is that unlike the typical pigeons we see on pavements and roads, it stays way up in the trees in the rainforest.
That's unusual. They're varied in terms of diet as well.
Okay. Narinig niyo yun? Wala siyang sinabing it avoids the ground. But may sinabi siyang it stays way up higher. So, because of the context, you understood na ito yung sagot, letter H. Kahit wala siyang sinabing it avoids the ground. That's why you have to be very keen in listening.
The Galapagos pigeon, for example, gets all its nutrients from this one kind of cactus that grows on the island where it lives.
Really? So is there anything that pigeons can't eat?
Yes, actually. They should stay away from meat because it contains bacteria that is dangerous to them.
Oh, right. You know, I thought pigeons all looked the same, but their plumage is really variable too. The Nicobar pigeon from Indonesia is very attractive. It has beautiful metallic green feathers.
It's a wonder they're not hunted.
Okay, sabi niya, it has beautiful metallic green feathers. So, we can assume that it's letter G because it's brightly colored. Diba? Metallic green, bright color yon. So, pasok siya sa sagot na letter G on number 25. Okay? I know that was difficult. Yung part na to, ang hirap, no? Pero kailangan talaga very focused ka and naiintindihan mo yung context ng topic. Okay, let's continue.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Let's highlight important information.
Answer questions 26 to 30. Now, in the second part of our presentation, we plan to look at why pigeons are seen as pests nowadays and what is being done to control them. A lot of people in the city like to feed pigeons, don't they?
Yes, some people think that it's kind, but in fact, it's not a good idea.
I suppose human food isn't very healthy for birds, especially fast food.
Actually, because the pigeons don't have to spend time looking for food, they have more time to mate and reproduce. And so it results in population explosion.
I see. So the city becomes absolutely overrun by...
People feed city pigeons more. At binanggit niya na because of this, they don't hunt for food anymore. They spend time in mating. That's why it causes them to breed more successfully. Kaya dumadami tuloy ang mga city pigeons.
pigeons. That's bad for the city and for the pigeons. Now, I read that here in Melbourne, we have a pigeon problem in the centre of the city, and the City Council is trying to deal with it.
Yes, they've built some special nesting places in one of the parks in the city centre. They're designed to house the pigeons so they stop creating nests on buildings.
But isn't that just changing the location of the problem?
Well, that's just the first step. In the second stage of the council scheme, they exchange the pigeon eggs for dummy eggs. It's like a form of birth control.
A very elaborate one. Someone would have to go in and replace those eggs by hand.
Well, yes, the program does work as a means of controlling the population, but the financial burden on the taxpayer is quite high.
Yes, I imagine it would be.
Financial burden is quite high. So we can say that the answer is expensive.
Successful pigeon control program in recent times was in Basel in Switzerland.
And what did they do?
Well, the city council found that teaching the public about the negative effects of feeding pigeons was more effective than trapping the pigeons or providing alternative nesting sites for them. These were both methods they had tried previously.
Really? We'll have to include that finding. Do you think we've got enough for our presentation, or should we do more research?
Well, I was thinking that we should also make it clear to the audience why pigeons in cities are undesirable.
Yes, we haven't really done that yet.
Right. I've got some information on the damage their droppings do to buildings.
And I've got something related to that on how their feathers can block gutters and pipes, causing water damage.
But I haven't found anything yet on the health risks to humans that urban pigeons pose.
Neither have I. Let's look for...
You can use the elimination method here. They found this and they found this too, but they haven't found, so that's why Adam and Jennifer decided to do some more research on how pigeons can affect our health. So yon. That's how you come up with the correct answer. Okay.
Some information.
Let's do the last part.
Now look. Oh,
You will hear a student presentation about a type of palm tree called the lontar palm that grows on an island in Indonesia. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40 on page 7.
Okay. Grows on Roti, an Indonesian island, is known as the tree of life, produces delicious juice, has a fruit resembling. Highlight this, female trees. Fixed to the tree trunks to help them climb. Keep their tools attached to often contribute to the upkeep of the tongue if left unprocessed. So concentrated form of the sugary. The leaf is used to make containers as anything as garden or brightly decorated hats worn. A musical instrument which sounds like that.
Answer questions 31, 40.
As part of this semester's geography project, I'm going to talk about a tall palm tree called the lontar, which mainly grows on the island of Roti in the south of the Indonesian archipelago. Now, the lontar is a truly amazing example of how one tree can sustain human life. The locals call it the tree of life, and with good reason, because the tree provides them with virtually everything they need in the way of food, drink, utensils, and shelter. The lontar juice is the most amazingly refreshing juice you'll ever taste. The juice is collected from high in the tree in a process known as tapping. Basically, a slice is cut into part of the tree and the sap flows slowly from it into a container. It's then collected twice daily. Male and female lontar trees are different. Male lontars can be tapped all their lives, so they are preferred. If the female tree is left untapped, a large fruit develops, like a coconut in appearance. The watery interior of the fruit can be drunk, but these fruits are often left to fall to the ground as animal feed.
Narinig nyo kanina, like a coconut in appearance. Resembling. Yun yung paraphrase ng resembling. Like a coconut in appearance.
Older boys climb to the tops of the trees to do the tapping. They don't use safety equipment, but make things easier for themselves by tying stones to the trunk. What is amazing is that so much of the equipment they use in the tapping process is actually made from the tree itself. The men attach all the tools they need to a belt that they wear when climbing the tree. In most cases, climbers own particular trees within their family. Ownership involves not only care of the trees themselves, but also a share in the maintenance of the fence, which belongs to the local community. Anyway, more about this incredible juice. Tapping reaches a peak at the end of the dry season, which runs from September to October, as villagers work frantically to get their harvest in before the rains come and it gets too wet and windy to climb. Whatever juice isn't drunk immediately has to be processed as quickly as possible, as it turns sour very rapidly. In the rainy season, when no fresh
It turns sour very rapidly. Synonymous to quickly.
Juice is available. The locals drink a concentrated form with water added. The locals also use this rainy season version of the drink in other ways. For example, it can be used to make biscuits of brown sugar.
Biscuits of brown sugar. Spelling ng biscuits, baka
The
magkamali
local
tayo.
home supplies much more than sustenance for the Rotanese. The broad lontar leaves are woven into a huge number of things: containers for watering the garden, and bags for transporting chickens to market. People also use them to cover the roofs of their homes. When the leaves are replaced every 5 years or so, the old ones are burned on the garden as a fertilizer. So you see, the leaves are never wasted. The Rotanese also make a distinctive hat out of the leaf. Design-wise, they were inspired by 16th century Portuguese helmets. There are many for different occasions, ranging from simple ones for everyday use to larger and more elaborate hats used for a celebration, which are painted in bright colors. The lontar leaf even provides the Rotanese people with a unique musical instrument known as the sasando. The leaf is made into a sounding board and has strings attached, which are plucked in the manner of a harp, and the sound produced is also similar. But even that isn't all. The stalks of the lontar leaves can also be used. They are really strong and grow up to 1.5 meters long, and local people produce ropes from them. Even when a lontar tree becomes old and unproductive and no longer can be used for tapping, the whole tree is cut down and the thick trunk is utilized for building houses. Their immense strength means that they are highly valued for this purpose. Now, one thing I have.
Okay, there you go. We're done. Now you realize why part 4 is the most difficult part of your listening test. Ang haba ng passage, and then lilituhin ka niya para ma-distract ka at hindi mo naabangan yung important parts. 'Di ba? Ganun yung technique. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, I highlighted all the important words. Para kahit na ang haba nung sinasabi niya at pwede akong ma-carried away, still nakafocus ako so kung ano yung hinahanap na information. So, do you understand how this technique is so helpful? It helps you filter the information that you're looking for. But at the same time, hindi ka maki-carried away sa haba nung sinasabi ng interval per question. Okay? So, na-delete ko yata yung sagot ko sa part 1. Sige, i-encode ko na lang ulit. When I did this mock test, saka ko in-screenshot yung answers ko. Hindi ko kinuha yung answers after just submitting it. I really answered it on my own. At may mga marks pa nga ako ng mistakes sa spelling dito eh. Yun nga, yung fertilizer, pwedeng S, pwedeng Z, right? Applicant's job. Translator. Ainsworth. Telephone. Basta. Okay, double check natin yung answers natin. May mga errors. Ito, maraming pwedeng magkamali dito kasi naka-lowercase yung letter A. Washing machine. Double check your answers. Part 3, wala namang possible spelling errors. Ang possible spelling errors nyo sa part 1 at saka 2. Coconut, stones, belt, sour, biscuits, fertilizer. Pwede din kasing S to Nung una kong sinagot yan, S yung sabi. Pero Z yung sinagot ko. And then ito, it might appear a mistake here, pero narinig nyo naman lahat, ropes ang sabi niya, di ba? Minsan nagkakamali din tong Tingnan nyo. Saan ako nagkamali? Oh my God! Like, seriously? Sa una kong mock test, guys, ang sagot ko sa part 2 ay letter B, tas minalinya. Tas ngayon, minalinya nung ang sagot ko naman letter C. So this is not my fault, guys. May technical error din talaga dito sa IELTSonlinetest.com. So, ang una ko kasing sagot talaga, I can show you. Minalinya yung letter B ko. Diba? Tapos ngayon, minalinya yung letter C. So, nagkakamali din tong IELTS Online. Last time, minali niya yung fertilizer ko tsaka yung ropes ko, pero ngayon tinama niya. So, double check nyo rin. Minsan nagkakamali din tong link na to, okay? Pero perfect na sana yan. Hopefully, it helped that we did this mock test together. I'll just give extra tips na rin before we end. Yan. Can you see my screen again? All right. So, practice daily with English podcasts and videos. Yung link na binigay ko sa inyo. Familiarize yourself with American, Australian, and British accent. Take practice tests regularly. When we say regularly, as often as you can, pero wag naman yung in a day saturated ka na lang ng IELTS mock tests. Don't overdo it or else you're gonna burn out. Just create a sustainable habit. Consistency is key. Use subtitles first, then remove them. Hindi nakaka-help ang subtitles when it comes to listening in the long run kasi nga, it just aids you. But then, mas okay if matetest mo talaga yung listening mo without subtitles. This is really important. Build your vocabulary. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung ginawa nating mock test kanina, puro paraphrasing. Sandamakmak na paraphrasing, synonymous words. Now, if you're not familiar with those synonymous words, it's impossible for you to get a high score in listening. Okay? Final tips for test day, stay calm and focused. Do not leave blank answers. Pero syempre, it's inevitable once you get distracted at di mo talaga alam kung ano na yung isasagot mo. Okay lang naman yun. But then, try to encode an answer pa rin kahit na unsure ka, okay? Follow word limits carefully. This is really important. Instruction. In any kind of test, instructions are really important. Use capital letters if preferred, pero ako mas gusto ko na hindi. Manage your time wisely. Yes, that's really important. Good luck on your IELTS preparation. Tomorrow, you have access to our computer room or the testing room itself. So please be there before 9 para din makapagpalista kayo for coaching. Sir Kevin's gonna be there. Enjoy your coaching. Be prepared. Watch speaking major lectures. And I'll see you guys again on Saturday for our next Zoom session. And next week, babalik na ako sa face-to-face. I will no longer disclose the reason, but it's for health purposes. So definitely, I believe you understand me. It's a valid reason. And I hope you enjoyed today's session. I'll see you again on Saturday. Bye!